Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the chat. I am Prince Michael, your lovely host, and then I am joined by the beautiful stepologist herself, Regina Platt. And then we have the pretty girl that wears 20 pearls, Miss Ebony Saunders, and we
Hey.
are your host. So, in today's news, okay, as you all have heard, Roe versus Wade has been overturned. Now, typically, I would let Regina run off on this piece, but I have something to say. I got something to say, and I got to get it off my chest because I had this conversation with the coworker earlier, and she asked me, "What did I think about Roe versus Wade? Like, do am I forward or against it? Should it have happened?" And to be completely frank with you, I said, I look at this the same way as I look at the vaccination. I don't believe that it's anyone's business about what you do with your body. There are some women that honestly cannot carry a child. There are some times when things happen where they have to abort a pregnancy, where the baby may not have, flushed out of that woman's system, and then they end up having to go in to technically abort the pregnancy. There are things that happen that I just don't believe a person should have dictatorship over another person's body. But that wasn't what I was getting at. What I was getting at, which is what I told my coworker, is I said, let me explain something to you. And I don't think, and she's a woman, she's a woman. And I said, we live in a country where a man is not ready to see a woman in power. Women are still seen as just people to reproduce and to be homemakers. I said, honestly, that is one of the reasons why Hillary Clinton did not win. I'm not saying that I voted for her. I'm not saying that I did not vote for her. I said that is one of the reasons that she did not win, because people were not ready to see a woman in power. We also are being governed by a system that, honestly, for some of us, our ancestors were still slaves during that time. So we didn't even have a say in that. On top of that, the system that we're being governed by, it is outdated. It honestly needs to change. And I don't see how or why someone feels as if they have dominion to tell someone what they can and cannot do with their own body. That has nothing to do with you. What if that person was raped? What if that person had a child and, through incest or something like that, something that happened. And I'm like, but even if nothing did happen, you do not have say over a person's body. That's their body. So anyway, I said the bigger issue in this whole thing, though, is the fact that we have a system that needs to change. Because there's no reason, like I always say, there is no reason that Congress should be able to make lifelong careers out of being in office. Because once again, these are people that still have this ideology of what a woman is supposed to be. And I find it's repulsive to even think that a person will even tell someone what they can do. I was working recently and I asked this lady, I said, may I offer you a beverage? And for those that don't know, I work as a sky angel, as I like to call it, during the day. And she would not answer me. She looks at her husband, she whispers to him, and the husband goes, she'll take a Coke. I'm like, so she couldn't say that? Now, then we move on to the people that actually, and I know I'm throwing it all out there, because once I shut up, I'm gonna let y'all go. But then we have the people that say, oh, well, the Bible says this and the Bible says that. Baby, let me tell you something. When I was in Bali, Indonesia, everyone everyone practiced Hinduism when I was there. Everyone, the entire island, that entire place, every single person there practiced Hinduism. They were raised in it. One thing that I found that was very interesting about Hinduism when I was there is you have to be born into Hinduism. You can't come and say, oh, well, I want to be Hindu now. It doesn't work that way. What I think in the United States is very interesting is that you have the right to choose whatever religion it is that you want to follow. We even have the separation between church and state. We have all of that jazz, right? But the problem comes in when you want to push your ideas or your thoughts on what your religion says off on someone else. I will stand, I will fight with you, I will do all of this stuff with you. However, I do not believe that you have the right to force someone to believe in what you believe just because you feel as though that's right. Okay, let me shut up. Go ahead. I'm gonna go to Ebony first. I'm gonna hold Regina because I see the way she's looking, but I'm gonna go to Ebony first.
So Roe versus Wade all by itself being overturned is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't really processed that particular issue. What I have been worried about is what's next. What's next? If I had to speak on Roe versus Wade specifically, you touched on the fact that, now let's be clear, okay? There's 50 states, and at least 20 of them are still going to allow abortion in some capacity. The ones that are going to ban it, because the Supreme Court was very clear when they said they were leaving it up to the states to decide. The ones that are going to still choose to ban it, 20% of the ones that are going to choose to ban it do not contain clauses for rape and incest.
Mm-hmm.
That is beyond shocking for me, because not only have you taken away my choice of what to do with my own body,
Mm-hmm.
but then you're going to force me to live through an extremely traumatic experience such as rape, which for the record is not consensual. I mean, do we need to go back to basics on what rape means? Because
Mm-hmm.
you have extremists out here screaming and hollering, put on a condom. Okay, that's great, except for the fact that we know that accidents happen. And I really want to go to the high-powered businessmen who would be put on all types of blast if it had not been for the adulteress having an abortion. But we're not gonna go there tonight. I'm gonna
Come
just
on
throw
now.
that out there, but we're not gonna go there. Okay. So getting back to the subject at hand, you cannot force somebody to produce a child from such a traumatic experience as rape. That is the most shocking part of the clauses that don't contain material to handle situations like that. That is insane for me. That is what gets me on just the Roe versus Wade. But to see something of that nature overturned after so many years of upholding it, my question is, what is next? And when you look at a justice such as the character of Clarence Thomas, you can't help but ask what comes next. Because even though Democrats have tried to put justices in positions that share their views, let's be clear about the fact that the Supreme Court is conservative. Right now, as we speak, it is conservative.
But
That
hold
is
on.
who rules.
But hold on. Let's not forget that they can sit there until they die. There ain't no limitation for them. They can sit there until they die. And Mr. Thomas, he did say that they should revisit. I think he said they either should or they are going to revisit marriage equality. But go ahead.
But folks was out here worried about Hillary's emails, though.
Woo! Baby, let me tell you something. It wasn't even the fact that they were worried about the emails. It's the fact she's a woman. Even when you look at Kamala Harris, the reason that Kamala Harris has to have the demeanor that she has right now is because of the fact that she is a woman. She is a woman. Now, she does not, I don't know if you all actually follow her or if you pay attention to her, but before she ran for vice president or president, she did not identify as an African American woman. She did not. And then, and this is why I say, and I'm gonna go to you in a second, Regina, but this is why I say Black people in particular, you have to remember your vote means something. Your money means something. What people do is they pacify you. And the way that they pacify you is, it's kind of like even when Hillary was like, oh, I carry around and I have hot sauce in my bag. Who is she appealing to? Who eats hot sauce?
So let me just end by saying this, and I think we've spoken about this on the show before. So many people only use their right to vote for the presidential race itself.
Come
The
on.
Supreme Court made their ruling, but part of their ruling was that it's up to each individual state. If folks do not wake up and realize that your city, state government elections mean something, get out of the fact that you think that the presidential race is where it's at, because even the president cannot operate without Congress.
Come on.
Your governor, baby, some of y'all need to take a good look at who y'all have in office for the state government level. It means something. The Supreme Court made a decision, but y'all need to be blaming the folks in the state offices, because that is who has the power now. Go ahead, Regina.
Go ahead, Regina. Bring us home, girl. Bring us home. Wade in the water.
Can I get a church? Can somebody pass me a church fan? But go ahead.
Let me get my fan ready. Let me get the fan, girl. I'm ready.
Baby,
Go ahead,
by the end of tonight's show, we might need to be taking up communion. I'm just saying.
Water.
So here we are, history maker. We are at a point in time where it is time that you stand up and get on the move. You've been sitting, murmuring and complaining. You've been allowing things to happen. You've been allowing yourself to become complacent and only speak those things out that you knew from what someone else said.
Yes.
We are at a time. Roe versus Wade came through in 1973. That was when they approved it, right? They landed, they approved it, they declared it. It was what it was. But at the same time that Roe versus Wade was happening, we had civil rights issues that were taking place within this nation. We had a war on drugs that was taking place within this nation. We had high effects of post-traumatic trauma that were taking place within this nation. We had high levels of poverty hitting rock bottom within this nation. We had a militant movement to make sure that voices were heard, that women were on the move in this time. And so I will say to you, we're almost at a 50-year mark, and people think that in this time period, they're going to be able to sit down. No, what I would tell you is stand the hell up and take a step forward. Why am I saying this to you? Because Roe versus Wade is not only connected to the abortion piece, there are other factors that are interconnected to that. As they stated, and they came out and said that states will be releasing trigger laws that they already have in place. This is on purpose. This is not by accident. You have a division where you are having people within cities who are saying they are not making partisan decisions, but they are making partisan decisions. They are giving partisan arguments. They are coming out and belittling and being detrimental to the woman and her rights and her reasoning and her responsibility to self. Not only is it her responsibility to self, biblically, you watch where if there was someone who killed the child, right? There was a certain ode to that. But if the woman died, there was a death upon that. If the baby died, there was an acknowledgement in a whole nother way. But it is so demeaning to me and belittling that historically, when we talk about historical harm, right? We got to move historical harm. This ain't just one thing that happened to one set of people, one person at one time. This is historical. This is a journey where the black-bodied woman has continuously gone under attack, where the black-bodied woman has continuously been isolated and placed in a state of confusion where she was used to actually reproduce what was needed for a person or people that were in powerful positions to be able to prosper off of the body, off of the seed, off of the opportunities and breakthrough of the black-bodied woman. Not only that, as we sit and we watch, there was a fight. And when we talk about interconnected, still right now, as we land in 2022, the black female body is still not being governed and provided the service that she is needed within reproductive rights era, right? And when we talk about reproductive rights, when we talk about reproductive health, when we talk about reproductive justice, Reproductive justice is an interconnection between reproductive rights and reproductive health, but it's the social justice lens where women are refusing to lay silent. Women are choosing to refuse to be hidden or be abused by others who are in powerful positions. And so everybody, as they operate, as they speak, but we have generations that are flowing through us right now. We have 5 generations within the workforce. And so there's that generation that was in that society that it was okay for a woman to be limited and operate in this position where she was being controlled and mandated by men and men only. But no longer are we in that generation. And want to use a biblical lens. As we use a biblical lens, we can go through greatness all throughout the word where woman stood. Not only did woman stood, woman moved. And so we have people who are choosing to believe that woman is incapable of moving, and she should only take the abuse of this high society male that people have reasoned with and called him out to be the one that can make the decision. Now, what I'll say is I land on this. You didn't tell me that you got a group of women together, a board of educated professionals within the healthcare, within the mental health state, within the community together to have conversations on what was righteous for the woman. What you did was allow me to identify that, again, a white male who has harmed my body historically, who has limited me historically, who has refused me historically, is now going to rule what I can't do or what I can't be. Even in word, there was choice given. Even in word, there was choice given. Now there's responsibility to choice. There's responsibility to freedom. It costs to be the boss of you. It costs to move fluently as the authentic you. But we're sitting in a nation. And I say to all the people that have chosen that you're going to get up and you're going to protest and you're going to move forward and you're going to do this. If you're just moving and you're not voting, shut up. Because guess what? Not only is there a vote that has to be cast out. Not only is there a word that has to be spoke out, but continuously every day your actions should be fluent. That you understand who woman is, that you understand the responsibility and power that she carries, that you understand that as her protector, you give voice to her, you give space to her, you give space to her. But I'm gonna settle back down because I'm seeing right now, and I'll tell y'all, as I was sitting there in my office and I seen what had happened, right? That marking that had happened. I need you all to understand that the ancestors that are interconnected to me begin to scream within my body, begin to have voice within my body, begin to say some things within me, right? Begin to bring up Rwanda, begin to bring up the genocide of the indigenous communities of America, because remember, they intersected with the Indian, the Native Americans, the indigenous of this country, and they repopulated with them, they intermixed with them. Not only did they intermix with them, but the woman's body, the black bodied woman within the confinement of institutional, right, human trafficking was sitting in a place where she was being raped by others so that they can reproduce, so that they can have power, so that they can have influence, so that they can have money, so that their votes would mean more when it came about. I tell you the land, as I was sitting there, tears began to run down my face. And all I kept hearing was, as fluent as these tears flow down your face, your movement must become fluent. And you must speak, as you said in 2018, that you would speak for those who could not speak for themselves. And you would go where those that could not go for themselves. And I go, if this ain't a God thing that's moving me, what is it? Because I'm interconnected to my Father, and my Father would not set a fire upon me if he didn't want me to go forward and make sure that people had a clear understanding. And
so let me ask you a question. So do you believe that because I said that people fighting the wrong fight, and I understand that we have to fight the battle that's at hand, to be able to get women back their rights. That should have never been in question in the first place. But anyway, I said, I do believe that we're fighting the wrong fight. I believe that we need a complete system reform with our government. Complete. because this is the same system that we've always had. This is a system that was put in place by our forefathers, and it has never been, nothing's changed. So it's still the same laws, it's still the same constitution, it's still the same everything that we're being governed by, which is one of the reasons why I feel that when something happens with when people say, oh, well, this person was shot and killed in cold blood, this Black person was shot and killed in cold blood. Okay, but let's go back to the Constitution that we're governed by. That says that we are, what is it, 3/5 of a person? So we're not even considered a whole person. So therefore, do you honestly think that we're ever going to be on the same playing field if we don't get what needs to be changed? If we don't get, like right now, these congressmen and people like that, these Supreme Court justices, they don't even have any terms. They're just there. I mean, they can run as long as they want. The Supreme Court justices, once they're appointed, that's it. Ain't no term. That's it. They can sit there with these old, outdated ways of thinking. So my question to you guys is, to you ladies, do you believe that we need to focus on just every battle that comes, or do you believe that we need system reform as well?
So, Ebony, do you want to go first? Because I promise you,
because Ebony's face is just like.
So I'm going to say without a shadow of a doubt, yes. And let me give you an example why. I am actually, and I am a gun owner, and I'm getting off topic to prove a point on why the Constitution is outdated. Now, have we made amendments to the Constitution throughout the years? Yes, we are. Yes, we have. But the problem with that is we've made amendments in areas that really just don't matter. And let me tell you how and why. I'm a gun owner. I will be the first to tell you I am all about upholding my right to own a firearm. However, okay, the reason why the Constitution is outdated, and I'm going to tell you why the Constitution is outdated, is because everybody, so you have left and right. The left will say, it's not the gun, it's the person. The right will say, okay, it may be the person, but why are we allowing people at certain ages to be able to obtain firearms so easily? There still needs to be more regulation. I understand both sides. But understand this, the Constitution was written during a time that we was dealing with bayonets and firearms that would take 50 minutes to load. We're not dealing with that anymore. The Constitution gives you a right to bear arms. But do you really need an AK-47? Baby, they were shooting each other with bayonets and cannons and stuff. We're not talking about the same firearms that they wrote the Constitution over. So should I, as a homeowner, be allowed to carry my firearm, possess a firearm, and buy up as much guns as I want to? Yes. But as a regular, average, everyday citizen, do I have a need for an AR-15? Hell to the no. There is no reason in the world that average, everyday citizens should have firearms that equal that of our military. There is no reason for it. Even if you're hunting, there's no reason. Nobody that goes hunting takes an AR-15. Boo. You don't hunt like that. So the point that I'm making is the Constitution was written for the time frame of the things that were going on and the goods that were being used and the weapons that were being used. That is when the Constitution was written. So, oh yeah, we need a major overhaul because the Constitution itself, the very document that we want to go by with everything that we do, is outdated. And it was allowing for freedoms according to what the lifestyle of U.S. citizens, which we were not, then it matches the lifestyle of U.S. citizens then, and even then we were not citizens. We were not citizens. And if you take the Constitution the way it is written right this very second and apply it to modern day, yes, we got a whole lot of work to do because, as you just said, 3/5 of a citizen is what it still says.
And see, and that's my point because and that's my point because I do believe that that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult to get people charged. Like, I'll use this for an example. Trayvon Martin. When you listen to the call, the police, and this is, I'm just cutting to the point. You listen to the call. He says that, he does all this stuff. They told him not to pursue. He does it anyway. He gets into a scuffle. He shoots, he murders him. That's what it was. He gets off. He turns around, he sells the same weapon, and then he monetizes off of it. Fast forward. Let me show you the double standard here. O.J. Simpson, he gets off from allegedly killing his wife. Fast forward, he writes a book. If I would have done it, I would have done it this way. Now, of course, with the way that the law is written, you can't be tried twice for the same thing. However, oh baby, they found a way to get his ass. Okay,
civil suit.
Because they're just like, oh no. And it was so interesting because when I think about racial divides and things like that, that is the earliest time that I can think of a racial divide, at least in my mind. But I posed that question originally.
Remember, Regina, he's 25.
Yes, thank you. And I'll be turning. And hold on, I'll be turning 25 again in 9 days.
But Prince, yes. Hold on, because I'm tracking you all. But we just talked about all the differences with the gun law. But we're still at a point, as many years apart that we are, and supposedly have departed, where the woman still doesn't have control over her body or her destiny. Now, let's back to 1973, when we're talking 1973, when this decision is made. This was not for the Black-bodied woman. This did not include her. And so when we talk about reproductive justice, it was 1994, I believe, before reproductive justice movement began, where the Black-bodied woman made the decision that we have to stand up for ourselves when no one else will.
Come on.
We have to come together collaboratively and understand that we're not going to, this is intersectionality. We have to connect what is happening with reproductive justice to what is happening with reproductive rights. And we have to believe that there's a chance that we can be and we can stand and we can have meaning and purpose and value within a nation that only sees us as being barefoot and pregnant. And then you say to us that that this is all we're allowed to be, and then you remind us, right? You talk about education and you talk about being a part of another social economical group, right? But you have to remember, again, the woman did not get herself pregnant by herself. There was two that engaged in it. But as we see and we look at all the landings, all the conversations with the Say Vote Yes campaign, and I'm not belittling any campaign or anything that they're doing, but as you're doing that, I don't see the responsibility of the man, which the man you call head, the man which you call leader, the man which you call covering. I don't see him covering her. I don't see him covering her. I don't see him protecting her. And in most occasions, I don't see him providing for her, right? So I see her standing alone doing a battle, because most often I'm not seeing the men show up at the doctor's offices, regardless of what's happening. And then the woman has to soften her or harden herself so that she can approach him with what's actually happening. And so, is this really justice?
You know, my thing is if we are going to say that we are going to regulate this for women, then they also need to regulate about these deadbeat dads too, the ones that get these women pregnant. And then, because it seems as though the law has always been one-sided towards women. There are a lot that, so when you think about a woman wanting to get her tubes tied, what happens is she got to go through all this rigmarole in order for her to even get her tubes tied. And a man doesn't have to do that. Oh, well, why don't you come back and such time? I was reading a story recently where there was a woman that actually needed a surgery, but because of the law being passed and leaving it up to the states, what ended up happening is that doctor ended up waiting it was 6 or 9 hours. I want to say it was 9 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
9 hours.
And in order to be able to perform that surgery that woman desperately needed, because he or she did not want to have their licenses revoked because of that. I feel and they were talking about the amount of blood the woman lost during that time. I believe that we're in this time where it's time out for people wanting to throw Bibles and all of this stuff. Right is right, wrong is wrong. I really like someone posted recently, and I'm not, and let me make sure that I preference this. I am not attacking anybody's religion. I am not attacking, and I'm not saying that what you believe in is wrong. I am not stating that. I have my own thought process. I have my own beliefs. You have your own beliefs, but I'm just giving you my perspectives. I'm not giving you a perspective based on Ebony. I cannot give you a perspective based on Regina. I'm giving you Prince Michael, founder and CEO of Prince Michael Enterprises perspective. Okay. So if you agree with it, that's fine. If you don't agree with it, that's fine too. But just respect my thought process and respect the way that I think about it. But it's time out for people to, to keep throwing the Bible and all of this stuff, because Monday through Saturday, you live like hell. But then you turn around and you want to tell somebody what the hell to do with their body, when in actuality, you're living like hell Monday through Saturday. You don't even follow what the Bible says. And you're trying to tell somebody what they need to do with their body. I was like, how dare you sit and try and condemn someone for what they're doing, when in actuality, you don't even follow what the Bible says. The Bible says that, it says in the Bible that Jesus said, above all these things, you love. People don't even love each other. If you walk up to somebody and say, hey, you know what? I love you. What? Why are you saying that? You don't even know me. On top of that, you'll have someone that may be out here, that she may be as they used to say, a streetwalker, or as they say in the Bible, a harlot. She may be one of those folk, Jezebel. She may be one of those people, but she hasn't come to be able to know who she is just yet. They're going to talk about her. If you come to church and you're dressed too short, but you just came from the club, the Bible says, come as you are. They're going to talk about that person. That ain't love. So I just find it interesting that people want to use the Bible. Someone posted, that's what I was talking about. Someone posted on Facebook. I'm not going to say her name because she's very near and dear to my heart. I couldn't even fathom, because she's a woman. So I'm like, I couldn't even, it didn't even, oh my God. So she posted and it says, you can do whatever you want with your body.
I saw
but that baby's body is not yours. It is attached to your body, but it is not your body. So do whatever you want with your body, but leave the baby alone. I'm like, you can be as pro-life as you want. I believe that, honestly, everyone should be able to do what they want with their body. If that's having their child, that's fine. But let's face it, honey, there'd be a whole lot more people running around here if your grandma and your aunties and even your mamas didn't go see the doctor. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, because there are a lot of times when things happen and they're like, oh, you know what? I wasn't expecting that to happen. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go see the doctor. I know somebody personally that done went and saw the doctor. And I was just like, girl, how many times you going to go see the doctor? At some point, you got to take responsibility for what you're doing. And I understand that. But to tell somebody you cannot, and you need to follow what this says, that is your religion. That is the way that you feel. You cannot tell somebody to follow what you want when your ass don't even believe what half the stuff that's in that Bible. Because if you did, you would not be living a life of poverty. You would not be living a life of mediocrity. You would not be living a life that is beneath who you are. Because according to what the Bible says, it says that Jesus came so that we may have life and life more abundant in every aspect of your life. Now, I threw that little piece in, but abundance means in every aspect of your life. It does not just necessarily mean in money. So that means that your relationships that you have should be abundant. That means that the life that you live should be abundant. Every aspect of you should be abundance. People should look at you and go, oh my God, like, I want to know who they serve, who they're with. I want to know the love that they have, the light that they have in them. I'm attracted to that. I want that. As opposed to you trying to sit here and beat somebody down with a book that was written however long ago, and you don't even know who in the hell wrote it. But anyway,
I will say this piece to you that I found, and it's profound to me, that people speak isolation and limitations over others.
I gotta write that down, girl. I like that.
But in some of the ways, what we have to look at is, are we treating people with dignity? Are we valuing the relationships and people we've been allowed to have access to. And I think so many times, even when you look at or you communicate, there's so many women that I know who've had to go through the journey by themselves in isolation and not have been given space to hold, to even decide or even see what. Don't get quiet on me. What you over there laughing for?
I'm reading. I'm sorry, because I found out last time how to read all the comments.
You talking about OJ comment?
Yes, what is his name? Charles Mahone. He said OJ did himself absolutely zero in all capital letters favors writing that book. Charles, you guys, my man, you on the money on that one, because I was just like, baby, you ain't got Johnny Cochran to help you out this time. And I don't know if y'all know it now, but Johnny Cochran was actually my uncle.
Oh, okay. We'll bow.
Yeah, he just didn't know we were related.
We'll get you a Kersey. But let's roll back over here to this. Let's roll back over here to this. So when this happens, there's not going to be people with money in the middle and upper class echelon that are able to send their daughters off to visit Aunt Joe, Aunt Mary, or Aunt Jacqueline for the summer.
That part.
Or
that part.
Half a year and then to return. Right? Because I need you to understand that even though they pronounce that we're talking more about the Black community, you have to understand that there's a lot that's been done that people don't know about. They just find out, and they're keeping documentation through Planned Parenthood and some of these other organizations where they don't know the number of what's happening in the Black communities. But they don't know all the other numbers sincerely. And so the other fact, let's just roll through this, because we were talking about what are the offsprings that this could have for us as a nation, as a peoples, as a community. And we have responsibility for the next generation. And so I look at that there's a chance that something could happen with one of my daughters and they not be able to have decision or have power to choose for themselves. And I can't have them relive my historical trauma, because when I say historical trauma, when I say the intergenerational trauma, we can go back where, remember that during slavery, the Blacks were being divided. And let's not say Blacks. I love to say Black bodies, right? Because I'm not Black at all. I'm a nice mocha latte, the best one you could ever digest. My antioxidants are on a whole nother level, baby. But when we think about how families were being divided, they were used to being divided. Not only after coming out, there was another division that took place, and then another division that took place. And then we get around the 70s to 80s, and we have the welfare system coming into place, 90s welfare system coming into place, and men, for their wives and women to get assistance with the children, had to remain divided, could not even be in the households of family. And so these traumas are intersectionally connected to so many different areas of life. And we can talk about doing one thing with one law, one piece of documentation, but we really have to do the work and understand that we have to see the woman as a whole. We have to see the family foundation fundamentals as a whole. And I think institutionally, structurally, we have not did that as a nation, and other countries are looking at us and watching what we are doing and simulating their systems based off of our brokenness. And so it is time, and let's say they overturned it. We're at a point right now where we could have this realigned in the way that we need it to realign, to include everybody, not one body, not one population of people, but everybody. But it's going to take us all coming together on one accord and having honest conversation, and not sitting at the back of the room shut up, or not showing up saying that they ain't going to do nothing, ain't nothing going to change. We're going to have to show up even when it hurts to show up, right? We're going to have to speak out even when it hurts to speak out. I am privileged to sit in rooms where I am the chocolate body in the room. I am the antioxidants in the room. And as I sit in the room, sometimes I hear people make comments like them people, or not only the them people comments. First off, baby, while you're talking to me and you think I'm outside of them people, where I would simulate myself not to understand my connection to the people, you're confused right now. So I'm going to listen to you and let you make your mistakes and tell me your truths. The other factor is when people perceive that only if you're from outside of the country, you're valuable if you're a Black body. Once again, confusion. So I tell you all, and this is how I say, we're at a time where if you sit down and you don't move, you be the fool. Because history maker, I tell you, you're at a time in history where you can impact what's going to come and what's going to happen. So go on and sit there and murmur and complain if you want to. That lets me know that you're not free. Go on and sit there and complain if you want to. We about to move into this nation's Independence Day, which I was not included in, but baby, I'm free. So baby, I'm going to speak up. Baby, I'm going to step out. Baby, I'm going to do something. And what I do may not look like what you do. But if you sit in that house with that television on and watch that system of brokenness and don't step out into action, baby, don't you open your mouth and complain to me. Don't you open your mouth and remember to pass that history down to your children that you was complacent and you sat on your rump lazily. That's all I'm saying. Either you're going to move or you're going to move. We ain't got time to do nothing else but move. When you move intentionally. Understand that you're not going to do this by yourself. Stacey Abrams did not step into the position of power and do it the way she did it by herself. She understood what a team looked like. She understood what a movement looked like. She understood that intersectionally that people had to be able to govern the areas and see what she could not see. Some people think they could see it all. That's no. I'm sorry.
No. You fine. But we're gonna switch gears for a second because our time is getting ready to wrap up. So I wanted to throw this. Oh, what's up? You talking about Mr. Fox?
Hey,
Focus on
Mr.
Excellence,
Fox.
Mr. Corey Fox.
Oh,
What's up, Mr. Focus on Excellence? Hey, see, I remembered. But no. So check it out. So I saw this online and it literally went viral. Just to change gears a second. I know that both of you ladies have children, okay? So I wanted to ask y'all because I saw this online and it said there was a woman that said she told her baby's father that the baby was hungry. He needed to bring food for the child.
Baby,
okay?
I saw that video and I could have just died.
So this is for you guys that don't know. So she told him he need to bring food for the baby. Now, mind you, she has 3 children. That's, his child plus the other 2. So the father goes and he buys food for only one of the children, which is his child. What are your thoughts on that? We're going to start with you, Ebony.
So I saw this video today. Okay. This is just me. This is just how I roll. The only time a man fully accepts the responsibility of any and all children that you have had is when it is a ring on your finger. At that point, it is his responsibility to accept the entire package. So at that point, you can't just do for one. Yes, you should do for all. But baby, if we're not together and I have a child by you, it is not that man's responsibility when he brings something for his son to provide for all of that son's siblings that you had with other men. Now, for the record, it is important to note that the lady in question in this video has 4 children.
Oh, my fault. 4.
4. And the other 3 have different daddies. This lady went off when the father of one of her sons rolled up on her to bring his son some McDonald's and was hot that he did not bring McDonald's for all of the kids. Dismissed him, threw the drink in the street, and told him, if you don't bring food for all of them. Now I understand the concept of do for one, do for all, but that applies to her because she had all of those kids. So if you do something for one, you do for all of them. The fact that they have different fathers is not those individual daddies' responsibility to take care of all of them children that you decided to lay down and have. So, for the record, yeah, I was hot. She's dead wrong. The father was being reasonable. He didn't come at her disrespectful. She was all the way left, all the way wrong. That's not that father's job. His job is to take care and provide for his son. If he so chooses to do things for the other kids, God bless him. But that's not his responsibility.
Regina, what say you, girl? What say you?
She walks by me every day.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
I'm gonna drop this real fast. I have never even dated a man that would have not brought.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let's start. Let me pause you for a second. I don't know who this is. Ghazali. Hello from Italy. Hi, Italy. How you doing?
Hi, Italy. Thank you for tuning in. That's awesome.
Yes.
Y'all see me had to say the hello. But I've never. So first off, you got to know the grade of who you're dealing with. Let's just go and break that down. You got to know the grade of who you're dealing with, and if you deal with somebody that's gonna do the bare minimum, you can't get mad because he do the bare minimum. But let's roll this out. First off, it is not his responsibility to feed all those children. She laid there, she played there, she supports there. The other factor is when you ask for help, be knowing what you're asking for help for. You wanted the babies to eat. You don't say to him, bring your child something to eat. You say to him, hey, how you doing? I need assistance right now. Can you bring the kids something to eat? There's 4 of them over here, and they normally like such and such. If you're able to get that, please let me know. And let him say no. Don't punk him. And I feel like that was a punk move to belittle him and have expectations because he climbed up between your legs and dipped within that drip. No, just because he dipped within the drip does not mean anything. He has no responsibility. We're talking about baby daddy. We're not talking about husband.
Thank you.
And I'll just land that. But again, woman, know the quality and quantity of the man that you are dealing with. You can't get mad if he act like who he is. He understands his assignment to his child. But there is a man out there that understands, and a man that will be willing to support you in all 4 of your kids. And he won't complain. Why? Because he understands the assignment that with you comes forward. And there may be more, but I'll tell you for myself, I've never, ever called a man that the kids need something to eat. Now, I have called my ex-husband one time and say, hey, but it was his 2 daughters here in this house. And I said, hey, the phone's going to be turned off and you ain't going to be able to talk to your kids because either I feed and pay bills and do what need to be done, or they get a phone so they can talk to you. So which one you want? And he quickly paid the bill. And I thanked him and praised him for coming to the rescue when he was needed. But some women don't know how to say thank you. Some women don't know how to smile. Some women, because they get pregnant, they mad because they got pregnant and they didn't stay connected. Stop getting mad because y'all disconnect. It was over. It was a one-hitter quitter. Stop being mad at him because you let him dip before the dream was aligned. That's not his fault. But men, again, stop dipping without protection. Because that's how you end up with this drama. I'm sorry. I'm over here. I'm on the line, like jumping over here for playing double dutch. Hey.
No, I hear you, honey. I hear you.
But
y'all see my face, right?
For me, truth is truth. But I'm gonna say this: I've never dealt with a man that would have not, because I've only been in relationship with men who understood the responsibility to children as a whole, and they would do me before I'm do for my kids before they did for me, because they understood what it meant to be a man in the presence of the youth.
Well, let me go ahead and let me bring us on home. I feel like both of them was wrong. I'm just gonna be honest. So I feel that if she needed something for all of them, I feel that she should have asked for that. Men are not mind readers. Nobody is a mind reader. And I truly believe that, honestly, you're sitting here and you are doing all of this stuff. I just don't believe that that is, I don't know. I just don't believe that that was appropriate. Like, she could have said, hey, can you do me a favor? I need you to go to the store and get me a thing of bread and some peanut butter and jelly. It may not be what they want to eat, but guess what? The kids got a meal. I remember my mom spent, I think it was $5 or $10, and she fed like 9 of us. We had bread and sandwich meat, and we had potato chips at the house, and we had some Kool-Aid. And, you know, we were able to go in there and fix as many of those things as we wanted. And it was great. So I think that the problem comes in where, you know, like, because then I look at him and I'm like, if you come and you just got something for one, maybe he was thinking that, you know, the other kids have already eaten and this one just ain't ate. But then when you come there and then you realize that the other kids didn't get anything to eat, they're kids. And if the mom is saying that if she needed you to bring one something, then they're kids. It's not like if she had it. And this is just me, because I guess the stepfather that I grew up with, my stepfather, because he became my stepfather in the year 2000. But before that, that was just my mom's boyfriend. And he took care of us like we were his kids. I mean, like when he went out and bought something for his kids, he bought it for us. I remember my very first bicycle, he bought it, you know? So in my mind, it was just like little things that I think of, like, because my grandmother always says, if a person says that they're hungry, you feed them. And I think that in that situation, it could have been handled differently, but it all starts with cause and effect. If you ask for something, I think that I can't, and this is one of the reasons why I can't really put too much on him, because if it was clearly articulated with what was needed, then I think the response could have been different. But then the way that she responded to him only bringing one child something, I feel was inappropriate, because it's not his responsibility. But the way I was taught, if somebody is hungry, you feed them. What's up, girl?
So I just wanted to love it because there's a twofold lesson to this, right? First off, be open to ask for what you're needing. Don't minimize your need. And don't expect somebody else to understand what you are needing. Be willing to be vulnerable. You are vulnerable enough to ask for one. Be vulnerable enough to ask for all. Because the assumption when you ask for one is like the other children are not around. And I get
That's
it.
true.
Because
That's
I'm
true.
big on providing. The other factor, when you look at this twofold, if he knowingly knew she had 4 kids, be vulnerable enough. I don't know if she has a quick temper. I don't know if this is her normal behaviors, but to ask, do the other children need something to eat too? Right? Because I don't want to run and get some. And he probably, you don't know where the man, what he was doing, what was going on. A question guy, he did show up with food. I know men that wouldn't have showed up with the food. You talking about one person. The other factor that I look at is her level of trauma, her level of anger for her to done that. All that was not about this man. It was about her being overwhelmed. It was about her being uncomfortable. It's about her being frustrated. There was a lot that was added into that, but got handed to one person. And so we have to look at that too. When you have someone who reflects those behaviors, it's not just about the one person. There's more to this story that we're missing. Maybe they broke up, they ended their relationship on a bad note. You know, you never know exactly how it is happening. And because it's placed on social media, we begin to make assumptions about the one piece that we see. But there's so much more that's added to this bucket, this bowl, whatever y'all, this truffle, or whatever you want to call it, that, again, miscommunication, which is a big thing within a nation, which is a big thing within families, big thing within our systems. And so we have to be able to own our responsibility, right? And we don't want that bull to happen. So let me communicate exactly what I'm needing so I can get what I'm wanting. You know, he said he'll do exceedingly abundantly above all I can ask for. So I'm going to ask for what I need for the minimum. And then you can bring me instead of dropping the 50, you can drop me the 2,500. You know what I'm saying?
See, I can see that. I can see that. Oh, well, hold on. Before we get out of here, hang on, because we're getting ready to get out of here right now. But I'm going to drop the link for you all. I want you all to do me a favor, and I want you all to click the link that I put down. You all can still hear me okay, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I want you all to do me a favor. So I told you all last September, my former Instagram got hacked. So I'm just going to catch you guys up to speed, 30 seconds. I was in contact with the Attorney General of California. I've also spoken to the Better Business Bureau, and the Attorney General of California said that once it becomes an issue for more than just one person for their identity being stolen, then they will go from there. And I'm like, clearly more people has had this happen to them. So what I want you all to do is do me a favor. Please go ahead, and I'm going to drop the link down in here because I don't know it right off the top of my head. But please sign the petition. It's literally just a signature. That's it. And then once you do it, my goal is to have 10,000 signatures by the ending of July. Because I'm pretty sure that or someone else you may have come in contact with has had something happen to them online where their identity has been stolen, especially using one of these two. I don't want to say the names because we're on their platform, but one of these two platforms. So please go ahead and make sure that you guys share. That's all I got. Regina, get us out of here, girl.
Bye, y'all. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
See you later. Bye, y'all. Hey.